Coach Brooks' store. Brooke, 2 home games against 2 really good teams. All 4 of the top 4 seeds are going to play each other this week. Can you give us a snapshot for what the Lady Texans are doing?
Yeah, again, it's the same approach we've had since January of these are your 2 games, this is your 2-game series. How do we need to improve from the areas we were not proficient in last week and where we need to get better and then go back. Now we're hitting that stretch where we've faced everyone at least once, and these will be 2 repeat teams that we had less than 2 weeks ago. So it still should be fresh on our minds in terms of our players seeing them, but teams make adjustments. We'll be ready for those. We'll make our adjustments, and it's really important to take care of home court this week.
I know you mentioned the goal for this team is to hold the other team's leading scorer under average. I was looking 9 out of the 11 games in conference play. You've done that. Obviously, Beckemeyer and Collins Atkins are leading the league in the scoring. I guess just what's the key of making sure the defensive game plan from, like you said, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's team defend. You're playing 3 of the top scorers in the league. You know, I think Beckemeyer's gotten Player of the Week 4 times now in league play, and I think the key for them is they all 3 get to the free throw line a lot. We're playing 2 teams in FIU who's 5th in the country and Missouri State who's 6th in the country in free throws made per game, and you've got to defend without fouling, and I think that's a key for us of defend. Number 1, transition defense, get back, get all 5 set, guard the ball with 5, and make sure that we're team defending. It's not one-on-one. It's not going to be one person's responsibility. It's we've got to force their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th scorers to take shots and not allow them the easy ones. They're going to score because they're good scorers, but we've got to eliminate the offensive rebounds. We've got to eliminate the transition buckets. We've got to eliminate the free throws and force them to take tough contested shots.
You guys have a 17-point margin of victory during conference play. I mean, just what does that say about the complementary nature that you guys have been playing with?
I think it speaks to the depth of our team. I think it's one area that we probably haven't talked a lot about is defensively where we've improved. I mean, I go back to those first 2 games of the year, and we were not good defensively. And our group, we saw that, and we had to challenge them. And we said, we don't care how much you can score if you can't defend. Games in February and March, we've got to be able to score the basketball, but you've got to be able to get stops and stops in a timely manner. And I think that's where this group has really improved. I think we're holding teams to 55 a game in conference play, and that was an area coming out of last year where we needed to improve our defensive field goal percentage. We want to be below 40%. We're at 39.9. But I think the thing for us is we're turning people over more this year, and that's one of the other keys for us was generate more possessions for us, whether it be eliminate our turnovers and lower that number or create more on the defensive end. And I think we've been opportunistic on the defensive end. But to go back to your question, I think it speaks to the depth of this group. You know, we've got 3 starting perimeters that are shooting 40% or above from 3. G's right at 40, and that's hard to guard because you've got good spacing, and then you've got an interior that can score it, and their ability to share the basketball and move it has been. I just think their unselfish nature has really allowed us to get some good things going.
To the point about the perimeter depth, I think you guys ranked 202nd nationally in turnovers forced. This year you're already at 26th. I mean, Lex had 7 steals on Saturday. I mean, it just feels like the perimeter defenders you have, like every single game, they're just taking the ball away.
Yeah, I think it's some of it schematically, but some of it is we're playing hard, and we're playing with a sense of urgency defensively. But I go back to deep dive into ourselves, a lot of self-reflection after the season last year of going, okay, where are areas we have to be better, and we address that from a recruiting aspect of people that can guard the basketball, people that can score the basketball, and you've got to have a lot of it comes down to just character and toughness. We've got a group that has some grit about them, and I think that when I don't have to coach effort and our staff doesn't have to coach effort and energy, then we can teach, and that's what's been so fun about this group is, I think the 3rd quarter we had a little slippage in terms of our defensive intensity, and I thought they were faster to some loose balls, and that was the first time since January 2nd that I've questioned our effort. And I told them that in the timeout. I said, guys, we've blown a ton of layups in this game, and I haven't gotten on you about any of those things. But I will get honest about our effort. They're faster to every loose ball. They've offensive rebounded. Those are things we can control. And I thought they responded to that beautifully, and that shows their growth and maturity. But it's huge for us to be able to turn people over.
Hard to believe, only 4 home games left in the season. I mean, just what's your message to the fans to kind of pack the tack and make sure your players get the support they deserve?
Yeah, it is really hard to believe that we only have 4 at home left, but I want to make the most of this for this group. And, I've talked about it. This group is fun to be around every day, and I think I said it last week, but people can say, oh, you're having fun because you're winning. Yes, we are, but they are genuinely fun and enjoyable to be around because they bring energy. They support each other in a day and time where all we talk about is you go get yours, you do you. It's a very single-minded society that we live in. They are an extremely special group because of their unselfish nature. And I can't tell you just the gratitude I have for that and just how grateful I am to be able to be around them every day because of that. And it's a big part of why we've seen some success. Yes, they're talented and they're working really hard, and we feel like we're putting them in some good spots. But if you don't have the right mindset, and we talk about it a lot with our group, if your head and your heart's in the right spot, it allows for good things to happen. If it's not, then you can't get out of your own way. And I think this group has really embraced that and done a great job with it.
I think the points in the paint, like last time you two played these teams, like it was 82 to 48. I mean, just talk about the disparity that you've been able to get in conference play of having multiple options like that you can throw it to inside.
Yeah, and a lot of those aren't just, post touches. It's, we call paint touch, whether it's off the dribble or off the pass, but a lot of it's coming from our cuts. And I think going back to both of those games, we have people, we talk about the complementary pieces. Kaylee Thompson's done a great job of her ability to cut and get people open, and she's a big part of our offensive movement because of how she moves without the basketball, how she serves others well by screening, but yet she's the recipient of a lot of those because she finds herself in there and she can offensive rebound and she can score it around the rim, and people are finding her, our guards are finding her on those cuts. And it may not be a direct post hit like what we had a little bit more of last year, but I thought Isla played great against them, both games against them on that road swing, but especially against FIU. I think we've got to be able to utilize that. I think they don't have a ton of size, so I think that's something that we can take advantage of on Thursday night. Missouri State has more size, and they've got one of the best shot blockers in Douglas, and we've got to be able to navigate that. But I think again, it speaks to our ball movement, our player movement, and then being able to deliver the ball when people are open in spots where they're comfortable.
All right, Ben, anything? All right.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Kajor.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Rich, just recap this past week, and then another big road trip coming up in conference play.
Yeah, dropped one at home, which was the bad part. I mean, you got to protect your home court, but we also have to be prepared to go and win on the road again. And so, got to find a way to make up the one we lost at home. Maybe make up the two we lost home. We made up one earlier, so make up the second one we lost at home. Hopefully, we can get the first one on this road trip, and then we'll worry about the rest after that.
This feels like another great challenge for your defense with Palick and Stevenson. I'm curious, just individually, what do they do kind of so well for their team?
They're so different, and I just got finished watching some film on them. They're so different. Palick is a 6'7", 6'8", unbelievable skill guy. Not the best shooter, but makes shots when it matters. That's what really good players do. He can really pass, and when he gets to his left hand, he can be really dominant. Just a matchup nightmare for a lot of people because of his size and his ability to play inside and outside. It probably causes teams problems when they switch, because if you switch on him, you put a guard on him, he takes them inside, and on the perimeter, he's big enough to shoot or pass over you. Passing, I think, is his best skill. But I think that the guy Bonsu, Osei Bonsu, their big guy, their undersized big guy is a load. He plays way bigger than 6'4", 6'5", whatever he is. He buries himself in the rim. It's going to be a challenge up there because of the way they rebound, the way they get to the free throw line. They get to the free throw line more than anybody in our league. So we have to play without fouling, which at times has been a problem for us. We have to use our length and play with active hands so that those undersized guys have trouble seeing their passing lanes, and then just create havoc for those guys on the perimeter.
I know we've talked about the road struggles, but is there one thing you've been able to pinpoint that your guys do differently maybe on the road than they do at home?
I've been trying to figure that out. I mean, we've tried to change up our routine in the evenings. We've tried to practice early. We've tried a lot of different things. Travel hasn't always been the easiest, but that's not a reason we haven't played bad. At the end of the day, we have to be mature enough to go and have a good practice and then play well on the road. But we've tried different things to try to kind of shake up our routine. We're going to keep trying them until we figure something out.
Feels like of late, Conference USA teams have noticed that DJ Dudley is going to be the top of the scouting report. I think it's been just a lot harder for him to score at the efficiency that he was in January. Where have you kind of seen him maybe just have to adjust to what they're throwing at him?
That's twofold. That's one is he has to understand that they are coming at him now, and you're not facing the third or fourth best defender on the other team now. You're going to get the main guy. Second thing is he has to have the confidence to affect the game in other ways. I pulled him out of the game the other day, and he had this look on his face, and I asked him what's wrong, and the answer I said is because you're missing shots. He was like, yeah. I was like, you got to affect the game in other ways. Your confidence can't come from the ball going in. The best shooters in the world, whether you shoot 45 from three, that means you miss, 5.5 out of 10. I mean, at the end of the day, you miss more than you make in this sport. It just is what it is. So he has to find a way to affect the game in other ways, and when he does that, he'll grow as a player.
Going off that, now that you're just getting more attention, just how important does that make Scooter and his, production level?
It's helped having Scooter step up offensively. It really has. I mean, it gives us another threat offensively. It gives us another body we can put in there, and it also gives DJ and AJ a chance to rest them, because we were playing them heavy minutes a lot of games, and late in games you could tell they didn't have legs. But being able to put Scooter in, take one of them out, rest them, and then switch, and vice versa, it's created a lot of not only offensive versatility for our team, but also defensive, because I think we're a little fresher down the stretch.
I was just really struck by Sir Isaac's just ability to just stay very poised, like in post game. I'm curious, how have you kind of seen his maturity maybe translate to the court with you guys?
You know what? I'm fighting for consistency, because we've seen that Sir Isaac in some games this year, but we've also seen Sir Isaac when he goes and doesn't get much done. And it's not that he can't get it done. It's about you are what you do most, consistently. And so that's the fight for players. When you get good, it's not do you have the ability to do something. It's can you sustain that night in and night out, especially when there's film on it. So if he thinks it's going to be the same this game as it was last game, he can probably hang that up, because now there's film of him putting in 18. And so, again, finding another way, he had 2 rebounds. For me, that's not really a great game when you got 18 points and 2 rebounds. Those rebounds need to be up around 6 or 7. And then if you start affecting the game that way, defending, boxing out, things of that nature, then those 18 will come consistently.
Do you feel like something's switched for Caden mentally that's giving you more confidence again to give him more minutes?
Yeah, he realized I don't play. At the end of the day, It's never been about his ability. It never was about. It's about, this is a team sport, and I always tell our guys, if you want to play individual sport, go play individual sport, and you have to do it as that of a team. And so I saw in practice this week, not only was he practicing harder, but I also saw him cheering for teammates. And I knew at this time I would try him. And I even had a couple coaches say, Coach, I think we should try him. And so right before we left out of the locker room, I told him, play like you practiced. And then I reminded him of another time that I felt like he was playing really well, because at the end of the day, for us to be a really good team, he has to, be a piece of that. I don't know what piece. The pieces are decided by the players in their attitudes and their efforts and the way they practice and the way they go about it. But for us to be a better team, he needs to be a piece of that. He needs to be out there doing what he did against Sam Houston.
Have you ever seen a guard that is able to rebound like that effectively? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a guard that can have like 20 rebounds and 18 rebounds against multiple like Division I opponents. Like, that just surprises me.
I've never seen, you talk about a guard, I don't know if I've seen a player. I mean, I've seen 6'10", 6'9" dudes that can't go get 20 rebounds. I mean, he's just a special talent. When he's locked in and that's important to him, he can do some special things rebounding the basketball. And so that should be his goal. I actually asked Paul Millsap on the court after the game, what made you really like it? He said, when I realized I could be the best at it, I bought in. And when Caden realized he could be the best at it, it has to be important enough and for him to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to contribute to the game. And if he does that, I guarantee he scored 16 points. It's quite a few points for a guy on our team. Isaiah Crawford averaged 15. He scored 16 points. And so if he can rebound and affect the game in that way and run the court in transition and guard and be able to get run-out dunks and steals and then make free throws at the end of the game, he's the player we know he can be.
12 games in the conference. You played 3 teams already twice. How strange is it to be preparing for 2 brand new teams this late in the season?
Yeah, that is weird. I looked at that, and going down the stretch, we're going to have this game and FIU, who we haven't seen at all, and we're going to have to prepare for that. And then we double back with some teams we've seen. It is a little weird, but the 20-game schedule is weird to us. I mean, usually by now you would have had 2 weeks where you only had one game, but we only had 1 week where we only had one game. So at the end of the day, we just got to play. Everybody's going through the same thing, no matter what sequence they go in it at. But we're just going to go try to play a tough game. I've talked to some people in the league about the travel and the trip and how it affected them and things that they've done. So we're just trying to mentally prepare for it, be tough, and then try to go get a road with.
Ben, you got anything? Good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.